we're back in business. Got back in Kansas where the tripod is. Should be right on focus. Hopefully it is. Want to comment a little bit more about South Alameda Elementary School. A couple of other things that happened during that year that I was there. Jefferson County had a bond election. Boy, there was meeting after meeting, and it was made very, very clear that every elementary principal was expected to deliver the vote in his school sub-district. And every junior high principal and high school principal was to work on the same thing, and each of them had a wider group to work with. Well, in the process, I was always interested in the PTA anyway, but in the process, I really got well acquainted with the PTA president. And one day when we were having a little planning session, just the two of us, she said, "I'm so happy and I'm so sad." "Oh, what's wrong?" And I'm sorry, I can't remember her name, a lovely lady. "Well," she said, "my husband's giving me a new Ford, that real fancy Ford, I can't remember the name of it right now, for my birthday, and I'm so pleased, but that means I've got to get rid of my car. And it's old, but it's such a good old car, and some kid will get it and mistreat it and just ruin it in no time at all." Well, we'd moved out there with a 1958 Ford that wasn't really as good a car as I thought it was when I bought it. The only time it didn't use oil when it was pulling a big trailer going out from Enid to Lakewood, Colorado. So I said, "Well, how much do you want for it, and what kind of a car is it?" Well, she said, "It's a 1947 Club Ambassador Coupe, and it's a good car, and I only want $100 for it." Well, I said, "If it's all right with you, I'd just buy that car." It was all right with her. That car became our second car, and after we'd gone up to Evergreen, the Ford didn't do very well. Finally traded it in on a future, didn't have the money to buy another car, and that 1947 Club Coupe Ambassador Club Coupe became the family car for all six of us. A little crowded, worked fine, put on lots and lots of miles. One summer I didn't move up to Greeley while I was working on that doctorate, commuted daily, 5 days a week. And I'd tell myself, this car's old, I need to keep the speed down, but we get on that interstate, and it just seemed to demand. It had an overdrive, it just seemed to demand to get into the flow of traffic and roll right along with everybody else. We drove it until the front wheel, one of the front wheels fell off of it. Donna swears she saw it later that some junk guy was able to get that wheel, or a wheel on it, and still run it. The other thing was that we had a third grade teacher, if I remember correctly, second or third, new to the building, a very fine teacher and a very warm, loving teacher. I think teachers should care about their kids, should be warm and loving. That cross, strict approach of Mrs. Cox, yes, it's good, but if I have my kid in that kind of a class versus the kind of class this other teacher ran, I'm not going to have anybody of mine under a Mrs. Cox. But Mrs. Cox and those that joined her in that discipline approach, that rough and tough approach, psyched that lady up enough that when she had a child that was misbehaving, she put some masking tape across the child's mouth, and that happened to be the wrong party to do it with. They went to the school board. After I'd already been appointed to go up to Evergreen as the new principal up there, I was told by the assistant superintendent, "You're lucky that didn't come out before the appointment, because we would not appoint you." I said, "Well, wait a minute, what did I have to do with it?" "Well," he said, "we checked your report on it that we asked for, and you didn't really discipline her." I said, "No, I didn't." I talked to her about it. After she told me what she'd done and was feeling guilty and, was ashamed of herself and made very clear she wished she hadn't done it and would never do anything like that again. It doesn't make any difference. You should have disciplined her. Well, so be it. The other thing is that That playground was devoid of any kind of swings, etc., etc. And when I tried to find out what in the world is that all about, turns out that the year before, a little guy, I can't remember if he was first, second, third, but from the primary wing, crawled up on top of one of those jungle gyms that's maybe 5 feet tall, jumped off of it, his spleen burst, nobody knew it, and by the time that he was seriously ill, it was too late, the little guy died. No playground equipment. Everybody overreacted, I think, to that. Kids had a good time on the playground. Mostly boy chased girl, girl chased boy. And even when you've got playground equipment, I think that still is one of the chief ways the kids get exercise and blow off steam during recesses. By the way, under Mr. Bush's No Child Left Behind, one of the saddest things I've seen happen is that some elementary schools have done away with any recess of any kind. After all, recess is not productive time. Boy, that made Mrs. Cox and her kind happy. No, it wouldn't. Teachers need a break. They need to get to the restroom just like the kids do. And the idea of no recesses is counterproductive.